Hi, and welcome to the Relentless Marketing and PR Podcast. With me, as always, is Katie Atkinson.
And with me, as always, is Lauren Reed. We're two marketers and entrepreneurs, and we're here to share our philosophy on figuring it out, moving forward, and never giving in.
And we have a very special guest today. We have Laurie Oswald, CEO of InteraWorks. And InteraWorks is a company designed to elevate the human experience at work. Is that correct, Laurie?
That is correct.
We're so excited to hear more about what that means. Would you take a few minutes to share a few words about the company and yourself and your background and what brought you to InteraWorks?
Well, thank you. Well, I think what brought me to InteraWorks was a lifelong pursuit and career, but our purpose is elevating the human experience at work. And I spent 20 years in the corporate world. Those are the people that we're serving with the programs that we deliver. And unfortunately, much of the time, professionals and leaders are overwhelmed, distracted, reacting, out of balance, exhausted, not clear on what's important. And I heard a great quote on a leadership panel that I watched this week, which was, "The future of a business lies in the paths of its people."
I love that.
Mm-hmm. And if that's what's going on, not such a bright future. So that's what we're here to support.
So can you tell us a little bit about some of the companies and organizations that you work with and what you do for them?
Yeah, so we deliver a variety of facilitated learning programs all over the world to companies that really get that their people and their human resources are the most important asset of all. So Whole Foods, Southwest Airlines, Dell, Honeywell, Pratt & Whitney, Lend-Lease, BNSF Railway, TI, Emerson, these are companies that invest in this every day and know how critical it is.
So I was at a conference a few years ago, Conscious Capitalism. Have you heard of that before?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that
and
was a
Whole
great
Foods was there.
Yeah.
Their CEO at the time, this was before Amazon. That sounds like it was a really long time ago. But anyway, they were talking about how some of the HR people were like, we don't like the word human resources because it kind of dehumanizes, they're just resources to us. Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming that you all feel the same way or not.
Do you have an opinion?
Do you have an opinion on that? And also, is it more about helping bring the human and the resource together?
Well, what we know is that individual transformation is what drives the performance of an organization. Mm-hmm. I experienced that personally as a leader. The more I grow, the more ergo my team and organization, and I'm sure you guys do too.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
We see it every day with our clients. There's so much that's changing about the workplace, the workforce, and the environment that is absolutely going to center this as a critical area of focus and investment for decades.
I actually got to go through one of your programs. So talk a little bit about your different types of programs you offer, and then I'd love to share my experience with Best Year Yet, because wow, it was amazing.
Yeah, well, we're fortunate to have been able to bring in several legacy programs that have been delivered for decades, 30 years, 40 years, and are still as practical, dynamic, immediate in the clients that we're bringing them, bringing them through every day around the world. And then we've created some new ones. So we have a suite of programs of different lengths that our clients are combining for different applications. Live facilitation, because we know the value of connecting and sharing in the learning experience. But we also always integrate technology, systems, processes, models. I know that's what you said about the program you went through. It's like, I get it, it's structured, I'm off and running.
Right.
And it works. Hence our name, InteraWorks. It works at work every time. That's what we're going for.
Love it, InteraWorks. So I'm in a group with Laurie called Women's Presidents Organization, and every year we go on an annual retreat, the first or second week of January. I think it was the second week this year. And it's this great time to really focus on the year ahead and reflect on the year you just left. And this is the first time we had a really structured goal-setting session. And Laurie led it with the Best Year Yet program. And what felt really different for me was it was very much mindset focused, where a lot of the other programs, to me, have felt almost too structured and very much accountability focused, almost, I don't want to say micromanaging, but this really starts with what are your goals, or what would your best year yet look like? What are your goals and how are we going to get you there? But you start with this paradigm shift. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so Best Year Yet is one of our core programs. It was developed by Ginny Ditzler and a team.
I read her book. We've got her book right here.
Goes back kind of to ground zero of the coaching profession, actually. The program is used to create an individual plan to have a great year, or a team to have a great year, or an organization to have a great year. We deploy it at various levels. But the reason that it's worked for so long and is so powerful is that we're not just looking at action and setting goals, and we're moving from the past to the present to the future, and as you experience, back and forth, to really distill down what's going to make just the next 12 months the best it can be, and lever all aspects of what generates results in a human being or in a team. And that's not just the doing, it's your behaviors and habits, and it's your mindset, your attitude. The beliefs that we have are the first, the first stop, right? It's where we all come from. And it's a process and a cycle that can be used over and over again to then feed into the goal setting with an output that's so simple, powerful, as you guys experienced. I think your words were powerful, easy, profound, structured,
and easy. It was
immediate,
simple, not so much easy, because yes, we still have to do the work to meet these goals, but it was very simple and understandable. Right? But profound, and I don't want to make it sound like it's too, kumbaya, but we definitely, I don't think there was anyone in our group of 16 of us who didn't have some sort of breakthrough of, oh, this is a block from early on in my career or from childhood, and because of that, I think this way, and this is playing into how I get things done. And everyone just had a very different experience with it, all positive. But what was interesting for me is when we were going through our goals, out of 10, only one of mine was business related. So I realized how I have so many, personal goals, but it goes back to what you believe in the whole person. And if you focus on the individual, then I will bring my best self forward at work. So, my goals, one of them I'll share, was just to learn to love running again, because I've gotten so competitive with it at times and very structured with it and a little, extreme, maybe?
Yes, I would say extreme,
extreme.
For sure.
Like one year I made a goal of running every day that entire year.
You also ran how many miles? A 50K? Or how many miles?
March, that was 38 miles.
Yeah.
So, but my goal this year is just learn to love running again. So that was really fun for me to see, if I can just do this and really be healthy in this area, then it's going to impact our work. We're all going to be bringing our best selves forward. And that's why I'm so excited. Laurie's going to be coming in and doing it for our team in a few months. And I'm so excited because when I'm in a good place and feeling good, everyone around me feels it. Like we all, when you're a small team like us, there's 10 of us, we feel everything, right?
Yeah, I think you have an impact on, especially all 10, mostly females. We especially have an impact on each other. So we're all feeling or happy, or not. I'm saying
fulfilled, content, fulfilled, right?
But that is a tipping point where you, as leaders in companies, are getting that human beings are whole, and have whole lives, of which work is a part.
Right.
And the new generation of workforce, those are the drivers, right? The motivators are purpose and mission and learning and feedback and balance. And we all know, we've all experienced what happens when we're struggling in our personal life.
Right.
How that shows up at work. And vice versa when work is not going so well.
How that shows up at home.
So we do take a stand in all of our work to have our leaders and learners integrate their personal and professional, integrate beliefs and mindset, integrate technology and process. They can choose not to do that. We have some clients with Best Year Yet, for example, that are applying it just to work. as an individual development,
Right.
program or team building and using it as a performance management tool, for example. But I think that integration is just key. And I, particularly for our group, the Women's Presidents Group, where you have a group of people that are running organizations and have a lot going on in their lives. It was really great to see the level at which you all embraced
Right.
looking at all pieces. And
Yeah, it was really interesting to me because I've gone through several different goal-setting programs, annual planning processes, all of that. And I actually went into this like, well, I've got my goals for the year, I'll just smile and go through this, but I've got my goals. And yes, we do have our company goals, but I didn't have my personal plan. And I really like how, like you've said, it's not too structured. We took one day, a day and a half. I don't know how long this
Just a
program
day
typically
total,
takes.
yeah.
A day total, and we broke it over 2 days, 2 half days, to get our plan for the entire year. But now it's not a daily huddle, daily this, daily accountability, me having to micromanage the hell out of my team, anything like that. It's simple. And we're a team of creatives. Most people listening to this are in the marketing and PR industry, creative, good with structure, but not micromanagement.
Yeah.
And this has been the tool
is?
that really has clicked for me.
So hopefully we'll learn this too when you come and do this at our office. But I did want to just talk about, because I haven't been through the program, so I'm fresh to me. And I'm a different personality than Lauren. I feel, Lauren, I know you're in the head center of Enneagram, but I think you feel more emotions than I do, or you let people know that you feel more emotions.
I am an extremely emotional person.
So for me, I've always had this very clear separation from emotion and work. And I've never even cried at work except for maybe twice.
I've seen you cry at work.
We
worked
cried
together
to you
15
one time,
years.
and I went to the bathroom and cried another time. Yeah, or like in a
And like, just a flip, how many times have you seen me cry?
a lot. I'm like, it's okay. I don't know what to do. It's okay.
Have you seen your therapist lately?
But I wonder, like, how do practically, if I'm thinking about this in our team, they have emotions, and I'm good with their emotions these days. I can talk to them about how they're feeling, and I think I try to incorporate their personal life and be understanding of things. But can you just talk a little bit about this integration and how you get there? Because I think for so long, the way we function as in business and America in general is it's very separate. Like you come to work and you get your work done and you leave all that other stuff at home.
And especially that's how we were kind of raised in the agency world.
Or period.
Yes, we're millennials. We're the oldest, subset of millennials. But we worked for boomers. We both shared the same first job, and we were working for boomers. And it was like, you are lucky to have this job.
Yep.
You show up, you stay as long as you need. There was no regard for personal life.
And I feel almost sometimes it's difficult for me. With our team, I think we are much more flexible than that, but I feel like sometimes it's not understood that we're, and maybe it shouldn't be. Like, I'm expecting maybe them to be a little thankful that we're so nice, but maybe it shouldn't. Like, maybe that's just the way it should be. I don't know. Anyway, thoughts on that?
Well, it's an evolution, you know, but you watch what's happening, policies companies are setting, programs that they're investing in, what the new workforce is asking for is going to shape that. There's no going back. There's no going back to that separation.
And
companies
I don't want
can
it
hold
to.
on to it as long as they can. And in our productivity work, we have a core program called Effective Edge, which sits beautifully next to Best Year Yet. We talk about prioritization. So in terms of deciding how you're going to spend your time, which is where the buck stops, right, at calendaring and spending your time. The only way you can prioritize is if you have everything in one place. You can't go to home and look over there and look at work and look at this list over here and talk to these people. You've got to get it all in one place, personally and professionally. So that's a really practical illustration of there is no other way to do it. You can work multiple calendars. You can try to keep all this stuff separate, and you're going to be juggling.
You're creating more work for yourself. And the result of the Best Year Yet program is a one-page document. I mean, I have it saved as a PDF on my desktop. I've got one printed out at home and one in the office. It is literally, it's this one-page document, and it talked me through this. It starts with the paradigm,
guidelines.
the guidelines.
Yeah.
Yes. Talk about the guidelines.
Yeah, so guidelines come from looking at the prior year and celebrating what worked really well, which is not done often enough, particularly in business and leadership conversations
Right.
and meetings, right, and project planning in any aspect. Brene Brown talks about that
Right.
often.
I love her.
But
Hey,
also,
Renee, if you're listening, do you want to be
Yes.
on the podcast?
I feel like I tag her in
we
a lot
love
of
you.
things.
But also looking at what didn't go so well. So being honest about disappointments with yourself. If you're,
I had an
working the
experience
process,
that,
right?
I had to be honest about with the
Yeah.
disappointment.
Because that's
last
what allows
year.
us to
Yeah.
let go and then learn from both. And then we take those learnings and you create guidelines. So
Right.
they're almost like little piece of advice that you want to remember, habits or behaviors for next year.
Yeah.
One of mine is share my voice for 2020. So here you go.
There you go.
And
Yeah.
she is
Thank
here
you.
sharing her voice.
Yeah.
And you're doing wonderfully.
I have a question too. So speaking of sharing your voice, can you tell us, you said you were in the corporate world for 20 years. Tell us a little bit about your journey and why, did you start InteraWorks or, how you came to be where you are and what made you want to do this?
Yeah, well, the short story is I spent 20 years in the printing, manufacturing, and technology industry, worked for the largest companies in the world doing that work, and had a very rewarding career in sales, marketing, strategy, and then was ready for a new chapter professionally, and a lot was happening in that industry, and it was a good time to try something new. And through a process of really looking at what I wanted and the impact I wanted to make, decided that, I love people, I love developing people, supporting people, guiding people, and wanted to go back into that world to make a difference. Also knowing all the things that, as I call it, were dysfunctional, weren't effective, didn't serve the people in the organizations, which didn't serve the business and
Right.
impacted results, right? So then the journey, landed in this field, learning and development, helped grow another organization for quite a few years. And then myself and some partners decided to really bring a vision that we had to life. And so through acquiring some businesses and launching a foundation, we put InteraWorks together. And here we are.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's so great. So after the guidelines, there is is it the paradigm shift?
Paradigm, yeah.
The
just
paradigm. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so that, again, Best Year Yet is a self-generative process. So we guide teams and leaders and professionals through a series of questions. You answer it. Ginny's belief is that we all have the inherent wisdom inside ourselves. Whatever level we're at, whatever age, Best Year Yet's been done all over the world. And people just need a way to access that.
Right.
And leaders need a way to support people to access that. And this is a system, right, that can do it. So Paradigm similarly looks at last year and forces us to look at what do we do that gets in our way? What are our bad habits, if you will? And then just explore a little bit of the next layer, which is why do we do those things? And that moves into the space of limiting beliefs. So beliefs come from experiences we've had in a lifetime of stuff that happens, good, bad, and in between, and just helps us create awareness so that then we can choose a different belief. So we just take it a little step at a time, 1 year at a time. We have people that have done Best Year Yet plans for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. So each year, it's kind of like a way to work on one little piece of ourselves and move into something that's more empowering and that's going to get us down the road for what we want to achieve.
And what I loved, because I have my paradigm that I look at every day, and it just aligns with the work our team has done and I've done personally with the Enneagram. It aligns with stuff I work on with my therapist. It's like all this whole, my whole life in one simple one-page plan that if I meet these 10 goals, then it's the best year yet.
Like as you said,
it's the best year yet.
What happens if you don't meet them? It's still a good year, right?
I guess I'll find out in December. No.
And then I'm over here analyzing them.
So I can
pressure on
speak
myself.
to that slightly, not through the Best Year Yet program. But part of the first exercise we did, which I know we're going to talk about at the end as a takeaway, that's something our listeners can do. is looking at our successes from last year. And I had one major experience last year that I have been so down on myself about, and I did not consider it a success. I don't know if we've talked about it on this podcast or not, but I went out to Mount Kilimanjaro, and at 16,000 feet, we were at base camp, and I had to go back down because I was getting sick from the altitude. I'd been sick for a few days by that point. I was one hike away from summiting Kili, which is the world's tallest freestanding mountain, and I'd been looking forward to it, every day, visioning this for a year leading up to it. And then there was this crushing, I'm not gonna do this, I'm not gonna meet this goal. And you know this, I've been really hard on myself since I got back in September or October. And this was in January when we did this. And somewhere through this exercise, I learned that actually was a success. It was a win that I got on a plane, I trained, I went to Africa, I hiked 16,000 feet when I'd never actually been on a hike before.
I know.
I mean, I've been on one overnight hike to 5,000 feet.
I'm sitting over here thinking, oh my God, she tried this. She thought of it and went to try it.
But
That's
in my
amazing.
mind, I didn't summit. And it really helped. That day really helped me have peace with it. Now, I'm still going back. In a year. And one of my goals this year is to gain more experience in high altitude. And that means researching more about it, learning more about it, recognizing the signs of altitude sickness. Not to mention, getting out to Colorado more and actually doing some 14,000 footers. But that process helped me realize this wasn't the big failure I thought it was. So I kind of think after going through that day, if I don't make a goal this year, I think I don't want to say I'm not going to meet my goals, but I think I'll be gentler about it. But I don't know how you can miss your goals if you're following the process. It's that simple. If you're following it and looking at it, and our group has agreed to hold each other accountable each month on it, in our monthly meetings. But if you're truly doing it, I took 30 minutes about a week or two ago. And that's another cool thing. This database, the system prompts you. You set up your own email to get on the 15th from yourself, encouraging yourself. And I actually started to write kind of a mean email, get on your goals, Lauren.
Just do it.
Just do it. And then I think you were talking about what do you need to hear? And I was like, maybe I'm gonna send an encouraging email.
You should. That's what you would do for your team.
How would you speak to your team? I would never send you an email on the 15th we meeting our goals this month.
Why haven't you done this yet?
We meeting our goals.
But we keep it simple. There's software, you can download the app if you haven't
automated,
done that yet.
yeah.
It's automated. One of the most gratifying moments I had in the work that we did with our group is one of our participants said, I thought last year was a terrible year, and now I have a completely different view on what occurred. That's
awesome.
huge. So you lay that over marketing team, a CMO, an organization, that just creates this constant learning. And whether it's the disappointments that we want to deny and don't face into and learn from, or the accomplishments that we never stop to take in, which is why people are exhausted. It's if you're always going the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, it's not sustainable.
I cannot wait for our team to go
through
through
I'm excited.
this. Yeah, you'll get to go through it. Thinking of the one-year plan. And for our listeners, we'll put an example of the one-year plan up in our podcast notes, so that, or a link, so you can
on
our blog. I can give you a
link
sample.
to it. Yeah, perfect.
You want to put one up?
So, then you have your guidelines, your paradigm, and then you just go into your 10 goals for the year, right?
Yep. 1/3 part, your major focus.
Your major focus, which you pick an area of your life that is your major focus for the year. And we were a group of 16 CEOs, presidents, women business owners. It was great to me how many of us picked, we're our partner to our spouses. That was the role we are focusing on this year. It wasn't all, I'm not focusing on being a CEO. So it was just a really cool way to look at it versus the other goal setting programs we've gone through, which are very much, okay, what is your revenue goal? How many dollars are you gonna have by this day? How many by the next day? You're not making it, you gotta make that up.
Even team
It
goals.
felt really conducive to my life.
Yeah, that's a real distinction of best year yet for teams as well, because we don't keep you in the traditional buckets, right? You have this completely infinite space in which to decide as an individual, the different hats you wear or that you want to wear, or key result areas in the case of a team when you're creating a team plan with Best Year Yet, all the different areas in which you want to create results in the business now or in the future year, and then you build from that. So the idea of major focus is we've got lots of things that we focus on during the day, during the week, as an organization, as a team. But most years have a theme, right? Something that's really pivotal or something that's changing or something you need to recover from. So that piece allows us to practice focusing on different levels. Like focusing on a lot of things here, but keeping that one big thing
Right.
top of mind, whatever that is for that year. And then the next year it's, something else.
I love that.
Helps you avoid distractions, really, which I get distracted a lot.
What advice would you bring to one of our listeners who are typically going to be a marketing executive, someone in the marketing PR field who wants to integrate this project into a team that they manage?
Well, I think at the level of leadership, one of the things that Best Year Yet helps leaders do is connect with the people that they're supporting and guiding and leading in a structured way that makes it easy to coach, easy to cheerlead, right? Easy to sense when things are off. So if that's a need or interest for a leader. As a team, strategies are often built and are very big and complicated. But I would look at what is the plan that you have to execute on that in this next year, and is it simple? How are you tracking not just business metrics, which there's enough systems and spreadsheets out there to track those things, but how are you measuring the work that's getting done and who's doing it, and how are you learning along the way? Do you have a system and process for that? So those are just a couple of examples. Team building. How connected are the people that you're leading? How well are they relating and supporting and understanding each other? How happy are you with your development planning process, your performance management? So I think just always asking those questions and looking at where you're trying to move as a marketing team. One of our clients, actually, the previous chief marketing officer at Daisy Brands and previously several other large organizations, big champion of our core programs. She's a CMO that you can read about her and listen to her on our website, brought our programs into her team, and she's now off on her own doing our marketing strategy as a former client. That's how much
awesome.
got out of it
How
as
much
a marketing
she believes
exec.
in the plan, in the process.
So I wanted to ask you about just generations, and we talked a little bit, you were saying that the workforce these days is looking for that integration and the balance and less of this is work and this is home and the structure there. I feel like these days I'm like a baby boomer stuck in a millennial's body or something. Like we were talking about how we were brought up a different way, and so sometimes I feel like it's almost there's a lot of personal and not a lot of work or business. Yeah. Do you feel that, or do you think that I'm just so used to the other that I don't realize it's really not that much? Or not me personally, but how do you see?
Yeah, do you see this in the organizations?
The generations.
What I see is a lack of understanding. So what's funny is I always say that I'm a millennial stuck in a boomer body. So I am completely the opposite.
Just trade you. It's like Freaky Friday.
Yeah.
So millennials, get a lot of flack, I think. And it's not style, it's not personality, it's just a different set of values and motivators. That's it.
Yeah.
They're both good,
right?
They're both important, but this whole generation of people in the workplace now, over 50%, their motivations and values are different.
Right.
They're not motivated by title and money. They're motivated by autonomy and purpose, right? And
flexibility, freedom.
Right, and what's important to them in terms of values, learning, constant feedback, right? Purpose connection. So that's another thing that we support our clients in is how do you take the purpose of the organization, which most people know, and connect it to the human beings in it. When that happens, engagement completely flips, right? Retention goes up, energy starts to move, and we just have to know that and serve it.
So I guess we'll learn how to do that. when
Yeah,
you come
so
see us.
I think we'll have to do a
I'm like, I have a lot of
we
work to
really
do.
will have to do
One
a
day,
follow-up
yes.
episode in season 2 after our team has gone
Yeah.
through it with some people on the team, because
I think I'm going to need a lot of follow-up.
I'm so excited. I think it was just really transformational.
Thank you, Lauren.
For me. So we always like to share some key takeaways with each of our listeners, and that's things that they can, after they listen to this podcast, they can walk into the office and do and start to see change. Can you share an example of something that they can do?
We talked about how you can leverage the past and take it into the future to serve whatever you're trying to accomplish. So as a marketing leader or a marketing professional, try taking one area of your life, one role that you have, and let's do something that's a little bit atypical. So let's say your creative self, your creativity.
Yeah.
Let's take that as an area of focus for a marketer. Look at last year, reflect on 2019, and think of some accomplishments or things you would celebrate. You may already have a little voice in your head saying, oh, I just didn't get any access to my
Right.
creative self. But think of some things you accomplished, and then think of some disappointments. Take those two lists, maybe you've got 4 or 5 things in combination, and see if you can isolate what you can learn. So for the accomplishments or things you'd celebrate, how did you do that? What was your secret? And for
Right.
the disappointments, what would you do differently in 2020?
Right.
And so it's from those learnings that, right, we take a step forward.
Absolutely.
And then we have awareness, and then we have choice, which creates different results. So, you know, all of the work that we do, elevating the human experience, we thrive as human beings when we not necessarily always complete everything, but when we're growing and learning and accomplishing and expanding, right? And these are these fundamental things that make all the difference.
We've touched a little bit on question 0 of the best year yet. Can you talk about that? Because I feel like there's something there that our listeners could use.
Yeah, super simple. We do it, it's always the first step. We get people into action right away and get inspired is, imagine we're sitting here, I hope we are, a year from today, and you're telling me why 2020 was your best year yet. So start there, start from the future and look back and write it, right? Create it as if it already happened. Our first step is we're envisioning, we're manifesting, we're thinking about what it's going to look like. And then we kind of set that aside and then go into the process.
Awesome.
But we do that with teams. And what's really cool is to have a team of people come together, each answer that question individually. Let's say it's a marketing leadership team, and then share it all out where we can all see it. And then I get to benefit from, what do you see would happen if this were to be our best year yet? And what would Lauren see? And what would I see? And so on.
That'll be great.
And then
with
a
our
team is like, right off the bat, starts to get aligned on,
Yeah.
you know, some possibilities.
I think it will be our best year yet.
It will.
actually. We have a lot of things
It
coming.
will be our best year yet.
I guarantee it.
Very excited.
Because I went through the program. I've got a few quick questions to wrap up. Where can our listeners find out more?
Well, easy step, go to InteraWorks.com.
We'll link that in the show notes.
We'll link
Yeah.
that in the show notes.
Go to the website, sign up to keep in touch and stay abreast of what we're doing. We do have, for the Best Year Yet program, actually, you can subscribe to the Best Year Yet process and online platform right from our site and start
Great.
building your plan in an online format. So there's videos you can watch, you can answer the questions on your own.
Oh, that's great. So they don't have to wait for their employer to bring in someone like you to take the team through
Yeah,
this.
if you're
it can
ready
be done on
and
an
you're
individual
enthused,
basis.
or maybe you're a solo practitioner that's listening, or
you're vetting it out before you
Yeah.
you bring it to your team.
we do occasionally host open virtual workshops. So if you get in touch with us, you can find out about those. Most of our work is done inside of companies, but those are some things that are quick and easy.
And finally, did you have any other questions before I close this out?
I'm good.
Do you have any favorite podcast or book recommendations?
Oh gosh, stacks.
Well, this is one book.
Yes, of course, Your
Yes.
Best Year Yet. It's been published in, I think, almost 20 languages now,
Wow.
all over the world. I think we're over 1 million people.
So,
best year yet.
Laurie is very humble, but this is a global program that she's here running from Nashville and has done such a great job with it, working with these mega Fortune 100, Fortune 500, Fortune 100 companies and big brands.
Yeah, we do virtual programs as well as on-site, and we've got people working all over and deploying at scale, which is really what we need to do as a community to create a shift in how human beings are experiencing being at work. But book-wise, there's one that I picked up the other day that I'm going to reread called The Art of Possibility. That is slammin' good.
Okay.
I've heard of
Practical
that,
and
but I haven't
moving.
read it.
The Art of
yeah, it was written
Possibility.
by a husband and wife. The Art of Possibility.
Okay, I'll check that one out.
Yep. And it gets to the belief piece in a little bit of a different way. That's
Okay.
actually quite funny.
Okay,
but it's
we will check
really
out The
good.
Art of Possibility.
Yeah.
Well, anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up?
I just appreciate being here. Thank you for doing what you're doing. I'm committing to sharing ideas and helpful hints and guidance for the marketing community. It's awesome.
Thank you. We're having a
Congratulations.
lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
I've yet to listen to or watch any of them.
Laurie
But I don't.
refuses to watch them.
I don't watch or listen. Katie makes
I
final
just listen.
approval. Yeah, we don't like hearing or seeing ourselves. But thank you so much for being here with us today.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
To our listeners, thank you for joining us again, and we will see you next time.